this month's craft video. Today I'm going to show you how we can make these really nice pictures doing collage. So collage is where you take different materials, different scraps of things like paper, fabric, ribbons, feathers, whatever you have at home, and you put it together into a nice picture. So I'm going to show you how we can recreate this landscape picture, and then later we'll talk about how you can make your own picture with whatever other scraps you might have. So before we get started, let's make sure we have everything out and ready that we'll need. So from your kits, you're going to find lots of different scraps of fabric and paper, and then you're also going to find a cardboard piece, which is going to act as our canvas. And then you should also have some glue, some liquid glue. If you have some in a squeeze bottle, that's great. If you have some with a paintbrush, that's even better. So just whatever you have to work with will be great. And let's get started. So one thing I like to do when I collage is I like to have all my pieces ready together and have my canvas. And then before I glue anything, I'm going to lay out each piece to see where I want it so that I know exactly what it's going to look like. And then I can start gluing so that then I won't have to pull up anything that was already glued, and I already know what it's going to look like and what it's going to be like. So I definitely recommend doing that. So let's get started. So the first piece you're going to grab is your piece of paper that's blue like this. Everyone should have gotten a blue piece of paper in their kits. So I'm going to lay that at the top here for the sky. Then I'm going to go in with pieces like this that look like they could be mountains. Okay, and the colors might be a little different for everyone, but go in with your mountain pieces like this. And I'm gonna start placing them without glue just to see how I want them. Okay, and they may curl a little bit, but that's okay. Once we glue them, they'll stick right down. Okay, so I think I like the way that looks. And I'm gonna take our next pieces, which are also kind of mountain looking pieces. I'm gonna put these down right here. And if you don't want them to be all together like this, you could snip off pieces and then place the smaller pieces exactly where you want. It's really just up to you. Okay, I think I like the way that looks. Alright, and then I'm gonna go with our pieces that look like this. So you may have gotten something green with leaves, you may have gotten some flowers, but whatever you got, we're gonna lay that next. Okay, and I'm gonna move this up a bit, I think. And if you don't like the shape of any of your pieces, you can also cut them. So I think I'm going to cut mine a little bit. Okay. All right, see, that one's curling up a lot, but that's fine. We just want to get an idea of where we're going to put the pieces. So the next is the blue water. So I'm gonna put that out, and since there's so much space here, I'm gonna move these down a bit. Oops. Doesn't have to be perfect. Again, this is just to get an idea of where we want to place everything. Okay, kind of like that, and then I'll add these little pieces after. I don't need to add them now, but I know I'm gonna put them along here. Okay, and then the sun and the cloud placement. Let's figure out where we want that. I think I like the sun there, some clouds here, and I like to have a cloud covering the sun a bit, so maybe like that. Okay, so this is just a general idea of what I'm gonna do, so I think I'm ready to take the pieces off again, and you can kind of take them off together so that you remember where you put the things. So I'm going to take off everything except for the paper, and the paper is going to be the first thing I glue down. So I'm going to take my glue, and I'm just going to squeeze out a small amount of glue. And if you have a brush and you're using a brush to do this part, then just brush on the glue. Or you can brush right onto the cardboard if you like. Okay, so I'm just going to take my piece and put it right there. and just gently smooth it out so that it sticks. Okay, so the next thing is the mountains. So I'm going to take my mountain. Actually, I'm going to start with this little one. I'm going to add a small amount of glue. So because of the fabric being what it is, that's why we're using this liquid glue, because a stick glue, for example, it may not work quite as well. So using this liquid glue should help make it work better. So you'll notice when you're doing this that fabric has two different sides. It has what's called the wrong side and the right side. And the right side is where the pattern or the color is a little bit brighter. But you can go ahead and turn around. See, this one I did the other side. This one I did the right side, so it's darker. You'll see it more on the pattern pieces. It's more noticeable, but you can just mess around with that and see what looks good to you. See, I kind of layered up the mountains a little bit, so we can work with that. Maybe I want to pull this one a bit. Okay, I'm just pressing down to make sure it's well stuck. Then I'm going to go in with this shape mountain. So these are just some smaller, thinner looking mountain ranges. I'm just going to get my glue. Okay, and like I said before, you might have a slightly different fabric in your kit. You may have gotten a different pattern or a different color, but just use whatever looks like it's matching the most. And if you don't want to add some mountains, you don't have to. Really just make it the way you want. Again, you may have gotten some flowers rather than leaves or greens. Okay, I'm just going to pull this guy up a little bit. So while the glue is still wet, you can move your pieces a little bit if you need to. By layering the mountains and the greens like this, we kind of add depth to our picture, so we can tell that these are farther back and the greens here are closer to us. So that's also interesting. Alright, so now I'm going to add my water. So I'm going to take this big piece and add glue. And if you want, you could glue right to the canvas cardboard here, but I like to just put it on my fabric. Since there's so much space here, I think I'll just tug this slightly down. So like I said, while the glue is still wet, you can kind of play around with your pieces just by moving them like this, which is helpful. but they will dry, so you gotta do it quickly. Okay, then I'm gonna add these fun little pieces here. And these are, again, are just random scraps I found, just to fill in areas. If you have scraps like these that you wanna use and put on, that's awesome. You might have some extras in your kit, or maybe you even have some at your house, or wherever you're doing this. So we got that stuff on. Now my favorite part is to do the sun and the clouds. So I'm going to start with my sun here and give it some glue. Cover the mountain a little bit with this cloud. Okay, and there's my finished collage. So we may have a few pieces hanging over the edge like this. So you or a grown-up could just go along the edge and just trim that off if you want, just to clean up the edges. Okay, so now we've done our first collage. So this is really quick to make, and the reason that is because I had already thought up the idea. I already went through my scraps and decided what pattern fabrics was going to be what shape in this. So normally to make a picture it might take you a little bit longer because you're thinking about what is going to look good, what kind of picture you're going to make, if you're going to make a picture. So this one went pretty quickly, but then it kind of gives you an idea of the thought process and how I decided to put these specific things together. So now I'm going to challenge you to do the same. I'll show you another idea that I did. So I used some pattern paper as the background, and then when I saw that snow on the paper I thought, maybe there could be some white snow here, so I put some white fabric here, and then I got some tissue paper and made some trees, and then I made a little house and a moon. Okay, so this is the kind of thing you can just put together and you'll be inspired when you see the fabric and you'll think, I know exactly what I can make with that. So that's one idea of another picture. And then this is another collage I did, and this isn't really a picture, it's just kind of a mix of all the different fabrics and papers and tissue paper that I had that I thought looked nice together. So we have some white fabric, some tan fabric, and then I kind of did a blue theme. I used some blue tissue paper and some blue flower fabric and another blue fabric. And I just kind of put it together. I was just looking at the fabric and the paper and I thought, this is really pretty. I want to put this here. I want to put that there. And that's just how I threw it together. So this could be a card. This could be hanging on your wall. Whatever you want to do with it. In your kits, you got another envelope that should have different paper and a mix of different paper and fabric scraps and tissue paper, so you can make your own collage like the one I made. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun and I wish you luck on your next art piece. Thanks so much. Bye.